Utilities Commission meeting to order. It's 7:30 PM tonight. Our first item on the Utilities Commission meeting agenda is to approve the minutes of the Utilities Commission meeting of June 4th, 2018.
Amen. I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second that.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we unanimously approve the minutes. Operating funds on hand this evening for the Utilities Commission. Total cash on hand balance as of July 2nd, 2018 is $1,711,528.50. Designated capital funds set aside for capital projects tonight is at $786,000. The third item on the Utilities Commission meeting agenda is the payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills, sir.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we unanimously agree to pay the bills, which brings us to the highlight of every Utilities Commission meeting. Bob Sykes.
Hello, Mayor and Council. We got the large number of proposals for the mapping system. I have reviewed the lowest 4 bidders. One came in, the lowest was at $33,500. I think they should be excluded. They only included 100 valve boxes and 100 fire hydrants. Anything additional would cost us more money, and I think that's the plan, is to come in low and get us high.
Okay.
The second highest is Century Engineering. The proposal looks good. When I called their references, they did not all know who Century Engineering was. And when I called them back, they said they were subcontracted but they should have put that in their proposal. But I think their proposal itself was good. Third, at $39,500. Actually, that's second lowest, but when you add in the software amount, which they're much higher on, they're the third lowest bid in total. Looking through their bid, they also left room to jack the price up on us because they did not include populating the water valve feature, which is one of this was in the scope of the work. The fourth lowest is $42,000, and that is Earth Data, a local company. I'm thinking that because they're local, they would be better suited to build the system and maintain the system when it needs to be maintained. So I'm going to recommend we do not take any of the 3 lowest, that we take the 4th lowest. The options they gave us were $42,000 for the mapping. The perpetual license is $7,000. The term license is $3,000. Those prices are the same for everybody, $7,000, $3,000, except for the one that gave us $8,500 and $3,000. If we choose to do it over a 3-year period, it's $14,000 a year. Again, though, I recommend going with it all up front and getting it done, because if you do 1/3 of it, you don't know you're going to get the same guy back the next year, or that he can remember his processes as well as he knew them when he stopped working the year before. So
the first low bid you recommend we exclude because they basically had hidden fees, almost like built
actually
in.
the first and the third
Right.
had in their proposal what looked like plans to increase the fees based on the original scope of work. The original scope of work was to inventory fire hydrants, water valves, and water mains. In the proposal from our third lowest bidder, they excluded the water valves and said that populating those would be an additional cost. Now keep in mind, for every fire hydrant we have, we've got about 6 valves.
So my question is, for the 42,000, does that include all of the?
Yes.
So even though on paper it looks like the highest bid, it could in reality be the lowest price.
Oh, it-
Factor all that in.
It's the fourth lowest, and but when I say fourth lowest, we
Because they're
had
only about,
bids.
they're only about $3,000 apart.
Yeah, but we had bids that went as high as 170,000. So they, at $197,147, $210,000,
Hmm.
150,000. So these four, I think, were what we were hoping to get.
Right.
But Century Engineering, their references didn't check out. They may still be able to do the work. Again, they came in at 39,955. So they are $2,045 lower for the total scope of the work. But I do think that there's an added benefit by having somebody local that can not only do the work, but maintain it and respond to us when something goes wrong.
Bob, did I understand from the previous presentation that they're not only doing this, but they're training you and the staff to
Pardon?
use this equipment and software to be able to continue it?
Part of the scope of the work was to provide training, so that we can edit and we can add features. So that hopefully, anytime we have an addition or annexation or new development, we don't have to get an engineer to do it. We can sit there and we can update it ourselves. They do have iPads. You can go out and get GIS information with the iPad as long as you can reference it, which we can with the Coast Guard Yard. So we can do that. It may not be quite as accurate as what they're doing, but I think it's going to be close enough that we'll be able to find what we're looking for when we need to.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I would assume you need a motion from us.
Well, my recommendation is, again, Earth Data. Century Engineering, nothing looks wrong with their proposal other than the references. When I called the references, I did not get a single reference that actually knew who they were.
Bob, one last thing, if I understand. This is obviously for water supply. Is it also for drainage for sewage?
Sewage is already done.
Okay.
So we already have a GIS map, but what was in the scope of the work is that they have to take those existing maps and bring them over into the new ArcGIS software and populate it so that it works on the new one exactly the way it works on the old one. So what we will have is one computer with everything on it. We can back it up on a thumb drive, toss it in the safe, and if we have a hurricane and the building falls down, we still have that information. And part of this is a printed paper copy of the plans once everything's complete.
All right, what do you guys want to do?
I make a motion that we approve the proposal with Earth Data as Bob has recommended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
All right,
Very good.
The only other thing I have for you is we put in the 6-inch line for the marina with a new fire hydrant installed down by the boat ramp. We finished that up last week. Hard digging down there. I've never seen ballast stones that big. We had some down there that were like this, coming out of the hole.
it's quite the sight, isn't it?
It is. Makes me think, who built that place up? Somebody had told
Me
me
too.
one time that Rock Hall, Chestertown, all these towns are built up on dredgings
ballast.
from marinas, ballast stones, and what was waste material. So when we dug up High Street, we had like 3 foot of what looked like cobblestones and oyster shells and fill. But that's all I got.
All right, any questions or comments for Bob Sipes?
Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing. We also bid out the water towers, but we only got 2 responses back. I want to do it again. I'm not satisfied. I think I may have made some mistakes in the RFP, and all the other companies didn't feel like they could be successful in making a proposal. So I want to loosen that up a little bit and try it again.
I think that's a good idea.
All right, sir.
And that's all I got.
Thank you.
I mean, at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're going to close the Utilities Commission meeting, 7:39 PM.
General schedule.
Thank you. I don't think we did. Where's Marty tonight?
He's on vacation.
He had sent.
Oh, yeah, you did. All right.
Checking out
We have
the
Do
sartorial.
we have a dress code? Well, so I was figuring I'm
I'll
just
never
sitting
tell.
down, so do I look like I have long pants on?
Doesn't look like you have pants on.
Let the news weatherman.
All right, we're going to call the mayor and council meeting to order. It's 7:40 PM. The first item on our agenda is the minutes of the mayor and council meeting of June 18th, 2018.
I move to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Just getting stuff done tonight, guys.
That's right,
Just getting
that's it.
stuff done. Operating funds on hand tonight for the town of Chestertown. Total operating cash on hand for unrestricted use, $562,475.57. We also have outstanding reimbursement requests from USDA for work at the marina totaling $61,851.92. When you add those two sums together, you get $624,327.49. Additionally, we have sort of a separate account for private donations that we've accrued in recent months. Right now, the balance of those private donations that are primarily being used to match state grants at the marina, in that fund, we have $361,124.75. So if you want to see those dollars at work, go down to the marina, because a lot of stuff is happening right now because of those people helping us out. The third item on the agenda is the payment of the bills.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We unanimously paid the bills.
Yes.
Town manager's report.
Are we gonna try to set a record tonight?
No, I
Two-
don't think it's gonna
two-
happen. There was talk of that, but
All right,
I
so
don't want to jinx stuff.
I'll just go by what I have here, the DCA sidewalk sale permit. Would you like me to read it?
I don't know, I think we have representatives from DCA. Do you want
Would you like
to?
to present it?
I would love to.
Oh, well, please.
Awesome. And I will just say I'm also joined by Laurel Cox, one of the partners in Blackbird Boutique, who is located along Park Row.
Great.
So crazy days. The annual sidewalk sale this year is going to be now referred to as the Chestertown Sidewalk Sale. There's been an acknowledgement that the event needs to evolve a bit, and given all of the changes that the community is going through, also find some ways to bring folks into the community and engage the community a little differently by offering more experiential-based opportunities in addition to retail opportunities during the event itself. So this year, instead of it being 3 days of stuff out on the sidewalk, we've condensed it into a Friday and Saturday activity with a Friday night shopping stroll that will feature a group of our regional vineyards and distillery. So we'll have Talbot County will participate by sending Grape Shoals, St. Michael's Winery, and Lion Distilling Company, which will be hosted at the Wine and Cheese Shop. We have from Kent County, Crow Vineyard is participating, from Cecil County, we have Broken Spoke Vineyard, and part of the petition is to allow the open container that we have access to during First Friday, so that our participating vineyards, not distillery, have the ability to sell wine by the glass, which is consistent with their state and federal alcohol licensing, and offer that to guests during the event. In addition to that, we'll also have 4, potentially 5 live music acts that will be sprinkled throughout the downtown shopping district, so that while folks are strolling around, they're shopping, they may be able to purchase a glass of wine, listen to live music. There will be multiple different events and activities going on that evening. We expect the evening to go from 5 to 9 p.m. We're going to stretch Chestertown's late night activities a little bit. And the event will end with some activities at Bad Alfred's Distilling to hopefully bring people toward the inside. We're hoping to engage a younger portion of the population by offering a lot of live music and activities in the evening as a way to help diversify who's coming into town. And also just offer something different. We've heard a lot of feedback from the community that they're hoping to see a more vibrant event. And so in offering live music and different spirits and wine sampling, we're hoping to change up our pattern a little bit. As part of the request that we've submitted, we'd also like to shut Park Row down to traffic and parking late in the afternoon on Friday. We know that there's some construction going on that street during the day. So toward later in the afternoon, we'd request that we cease parking, as well as open it up so that we can place some live music, potentially an ice cream vendor and a couple of food trucks on that block to help support our Park Row businesses. We have 3 new Park Row businesses this year that we want to help attract people to walk across the park to go and visit. Blackbird Boutique being one of our newest businesses. And we feel that shutting the street down, making it pedestrian friendly for the evening, and offering some additional food and entertainment opportunities on that side of the park will help create a compelling experience to move people through what's traditionally considered the downtown shopping district into some of our newer areas.
Is the music going to be outside or in the shops?
Outside. We are hoping to locate the musicians on, let's call them the ends of the shopping district, again, to help move people through the downtown. So some folks on North High Street down toward the old Jarrah's Lemon Leaf space where we have a few new stores located, down toward Fig's Ordinary and Gabriel's, down toward Skippy's, and then also on Park Row.
Got it.
What about Cannon Street?
With the listening room, they have built-in music capabilities. So they have speakers and amplifiers, and they'll be spinning vinyls down there.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
And the vineyards will also be sprinkled throughout the downtown so that it will be a good chance to engage them. And this is a relationship with some of our Cecil and Talbot County vineyards that we've also been trying to grow as a way to get them to join us in town during different events so that we can have regional producers represented.
So the main gist of this permit is for July 27th.
July 27th.
Friday night, July 27th.
Just Friday, July 27th, yes.
Is there going to be more sidewalk sales stuff on Saturday?
On Saturday, yes, but we will not have vineyards and
Right.
there will be no vineyards and potentially some live music, but it will be more co-located outside of stores, so we don't
Right.
anticipate blocking any streets.
All right, so Bill, can you read like the critical provisions that we need to approve within the permit? It sounds like
I
closing
think the
Park
main
Road.
thing is waiving the
Yeah.
open container law. The rest of it is you can just say Bill signed the permit, because Jen's explained it in greater
has.
detail than is on here, and it sounds fantastic. Sounds pretty much like a First Friday on steroids.
Pretty much,
So-
that's our goal.
So is there a motion to approve this permit?
I make a motion to approve the BCA sidewalk sale permit for July 27th, 28th, 2018,
And waive the,
and waive the open container
Is there any further discussion?
regulations.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Seconds.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, folks.
Thanks for
Unanimously
doing
just
that.
approved your permit.
Hope to see you there.
All right.
Jen, are you doing anything special this Friday, 4th of July?
This Friday for the 4th of July, no, we're not. We'll have our standard First Friday activities. There are a bunch of new gallery openings. We're working on changing the First Friday format a bit. We're collaborating with the Kent County Arts Council to try and really, and also Kay McIntosh in her position, in her A&E hat, to really foster it as more of an arts-based event. I think that there's some universal recognition that the First Friday formula needs to be changed a little bit, and we want to maybe encourage a different experience. So really increase the live music and the arts aspect of it, because it's one of the nights that our arts organizations really see a fantastic uptick in participation in their activities. So the DCA continues to talk about ways to change and adapt that a bit. I was talking to John from the Bayside Hoyas, and maybe approaching you guys about some different activities in the fall. So the next big First Friday, if you will, that we're planning is September, which will be Welcome Back WAC for the Washington College crowd. We're partnering with the college right now on some activities related to orientation, and then hope to do a big welcome back to the Washington College community and make that part of our annual September experience.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Okay, a couple other things. We'll get to this Hack Drive traffic calming question. There's two things that are important right now. On July 19th, there's a grant deadline for a VUILD grant, which is a Department of Transportation grant with rural area priorities. It's a offshoot of the TIGER, sorry about these acronyms, which is the Transportation Investment Generating Economic Development, which, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, it came out of the American Recovery Act during the Obama years, so it's still there. This year, they're issuing $1.5 billion around the country, stressing rural areas where they say that 49% of the fatalities that are in America, where 19% of the public lives, is in rural areas. So they want you first to correct safety issues, bridges that are ready to collapse, unsafe conditions, but also we believe in repaving. The minimum grant that you can request is $1 million. We have, I think the mayor has talked with a larger contractor and found out that if we repaved every street in town, it would be
$6 million.
$6 million.
25.1 miles of road.
So, I don't think we're going to get that because no one state can get more than $150 million. And I know that counties and other cities are really going to be going after this. But I'm going to recommend that you let Case and I work on it. We're already started actually working on a grant application for $2 or $2.5 million to restore as many roads as we can with that in the roads that are deteriorated the most, and get that in by July 19th. The reason I'm bringing it up tonight, even though we have a meeting in between now and then, is I'd like you to authorize the mayor to sign any documents that would go along with that grant application, as we usually do. This is a tremendous opportunity, and it's going to take some work, but I've looked at the grant application, and basically we would be describing our roads, their condition, the number of cubic yards of asphalting, and estimated cost.
Well, you started off talking about safety on that. And can we sell repaving as a safety?
Restoration of roads is important. I mean,
Well, I know it's important. and
Yeah, we're going to sell it. We're going to sell it.
Okay, I'm wondering whether it would help to sell it, to focus on a couple of intersections as well.
Yeah.
One that I mentioned first day is right out here.
All right, well, that's for the state. Well, actually, I don't want to burn off our money in doing something to the state.
Okay, just make sure you have enough hooks in there for safety.
Yeah, well, that's not our road, but I'm certain, well, actually, I'm not certain that they realize what a threat it is, like you do, the State Highway Administration.
I'm just wondering whether they're going to recognize potholes as a safety issue the way we do.
Well, I don't know on rural fatalities, I know they're not just talking about potholes, and maybe they're talking about hairpin turns without signs, I don't know, or drunk driving, or telephone poles in ditches. There's all sorts of fatalities that I can remember that have something to do with the fact that almost every telephone pole in rural situations in the middle of the ditch. So if your car goes in the ditch, you run along the ditch till you hit the telephone pole. It's ridiculous. Love to see things get buried for that reason. But we're just going to do what we have to do here. We have to try to grab this ring if we can.
Sure, no, I appreciate that.
And love to talk with you as we're doing it, because if we can weave it in on our Queen Street side of that intersection, what we can do to make it a better intersection. Though I think if you answer the phone like I do, you'll find out that people think there are a lot more dangerous intersections than just that one. This is going to take some work, and we really don't have time to do this, but we got it. We got to try to do this. I want to let you all know with as much lead time that we're going to try to get this done. You'll see the application on the 16th, but it'll probably be a deadline situation as always.
And you're going to cite ADA accessible and upgrade?
Well, yeah, I guess. We try to do that, that I hadn't thought about that.
I just remember taking the grant class, and they said you get points when you focus on ADA.
Well, I think we make every major intersection that we can that's our intersections that way. And we do that, though.
Yeah.
Our street crew has developed the ability to make one the way they're supposed to be made. If you see what we've done around town, right by Jen's store, we improved that intersection and others. But that's a very good point. The mayor says let's apply for $6 million. I don't think we would get $6 million, but and I don't know whether if you apply for 6, they'll give you 2.5. It'd be just perfect, but we'll see. We'll put the numbers together, and I'll contact you all by email if I have any questions. But I just wanted to let you know publicly that we're trying to do this, and if we can master the acronyms, would be great. The other thing, I sent you an email today with a letter from Heron Point. Two of you haven't been here when we've helped be a conduit issuer of financing. It's kind of what built Heron Point and then what rebuilt Heron Point, because it's not a young project. And many times over has rebuilt the college, so it looks like it does today. We have the ability to do this without any impact on our own financial source, up to $66 million. And what I mean by that is if we were going to borrow scads of money, that would affect our ability to borrow. But unless we plan on borrowing that kind of money. The attorney for them, I said, please, since we have a new council, send us a letter, ask us to do it. We'll talk about it in August. We have to have a perfunctory hearing called a TEFRA hearing. And they pay for all our bond counsel who looks over the documents, also all their fees. It was in that letter I sent you today, and the press is willing to have this, but I'm telling you that in August, at our August 6th meeting, there'll be a delegation here of a couple people explaining what they're going to do. They're refinancing an issuance that we issued to them in 2013, just upgrading. And I'd say it's like one of those things you just can't not do. It's too much of a help.
So
we do it because we can.
The gist is that it helps them get that at a lower interest rate?
Yep. Let me just read a couple sentences. I'm writing this letter to inform you that Heron Point is seeking to issue bonds through the town to refinance its outstanding Series 2013A bonds and Series 2013 bonds and pay costs of issuance. In 2013, the town issued both taxable and tax-exempt bonds on behalf of Heron Point. As of May 15, 2018, the Series 2013A taxable bonds were outstanding in the amount of $3,320,000. And the Series 2013 Tax B exempt bonds were outstanding in the amount of $22,180,000. Heron Point is seeking to issue taxable bank direct purchase bonds in an amount not to exceed $3,600,000 to refinance Heron Point's outstanding Series 2013A bonds and tax-exempt non-bank qualified direct purchase bonds in the amount not to exceed $22,650,000 to refinance Heron Point's outstanding 2013 bonds. People actually invest in, people actually wait for this to happen in these situations, so it probably has a double impact. Heron Point would like the town to once again act as a conduit issuer on behalf of Heron Point. And it's a wonderful thing that we're able to do. If you don't do it, I assure you that Kent County would do it. But it's nice, it's our town, they're our projects. So I see no other issue than that.
I'm not quite sure I understand what it means when it says issue it through the town.
We're the conduit. We're the conduit. We're just the vehicle.
Okay.
So there is no impact on us financially, on our debt rating or anything. But for some reason, it's set up so that a municipality or government has to be part of it, makes them tax-free, the issuance. So they're probably double tax-free for your state income tax, and maybe triple tax-free for your federal. I'm not sure about that. Not a financial advisor, but that's the benefit of them. And I would say, since Heron Point's been here for a good long time, since maybe 1988 or 90, they're a pretty safe investment. It sounds like they get a fairly good rating. So there'll be more on that at our August 6th meeting, and anything you want, any more information you want in between, just contact me. We can show you the bond thing from 2013, and you can go through that. This will be similar to refi, so it shouldn't be a lot different than that. But they basically rebuilt Heron Point 10 years ago, and finishing up, I think, in 2013. Maybe, re-roofed all their buildings, put it in fabulous shape.
New dining room.
New dining room, right? And I think they're at full occupancy. They've talked to me before about expansion, though that hasn't really happened yet. And I think that ACT people are fine.
From time to time, there's some reference to taking back the town roads to Heron Point. Is that's in any way related to this?
Fine with me. No, I don't think there would be no fee to them taking back the roads. That would
be happy to.
Though they may want to repave them with that. But I think you'll be the first to know it if that's their plan. The last thing I want to talk about is the Hack Drive traffic calming. We received an email from, I guess, the head of their community organization that showed 2 speed humps in the proximity of their project. And I was worried about putting 2 there, and I was worried about the perception of other communities all over town. Because they're very close to the intersection, but they're basically protecting Conley Drive and Acorn. Is it Acorn or Oak Street? But I worried about the balance of it, and the mayor and I drove up there today, and I think that if we're trying to slow people down on that block of Hack, we should start up the end. If we're going to have 2 speed bumps and not 1, we would have 1 at the end, just inside of Magnolia Hall, and the other one at the end by these projects, so that you just had a symmetry to it that would let people know. Now, I haven't talked to the chief about this, and we have had varied success about speed bumps in other parts of town. Our biggest success, though at great cost, were the speed humps in front of the 2 schools. They're huge, and they slow people down. They're not appreciated by all. But they are by parents and by me. Other places, you see speed bumps come and go. They're shorter, more abrupt, and they're affordable. They cost $800 to $900 to make a speed hump, like at the schools would cost $2,000 or $3,000. The other thing that I talked to Chris about was, here we are building an industrial and business park. And I don't know how else to put this other than 291 is how some traffic would come to that and would use Hack, which was built wide to be a collector street. So I think we ought to talk to the principals who are building that about how many speed bumps we're going to put on a main route to and from their business campus. Okay, that's just a traffic issue, maybe our planning commission. I don't want to throw up, I'm not trying to throw up barriers, but I mean, because they come out as easy, sometimes they come out with snow plows when there's a blizzard and they're moving along, they go, oops, I forgot that, and they take them right out. But you're the council, and I was hoping Marty would be here. I forgot he was on vacation. It's a 4th Ward thing, but you're near enough now. These are just issues, and I'm just an appointed person, I'm not elected, so what do you all think?
Well, it's a four-way stop, and I'm wondering how long that will hold up after all the development is finished back there on Hack Drive, because there have been accidents there. You know, there's a four-way stop right there
Right,
by
right.
the condos.
Well,
And then,
yeah.
you know, because you're going to go straight through Hack Drive across, you know, when they open the road back there to Dixon, there's going to be more traffic on Sheeler Road.
Well, I guess someday
And I
there'll probably
just-
be a light there, but
Well, that's what
I
I
think the
was
four-way
wondering.
stop is a necessity right now.
Yeah, it is, but
It's an absolute necessity.
not everybody stops, you know, they'll roll if nobody's coming, you know, they roll.
Yeah, right,
And-
right, yep. But I think we'd probably have more accidents if we only had two ways stopping
Oh, yeah.
on either one.
Yeah.
What I worried about was when we had speed bumps over here, how long would it be before people said, well, can we have them on Sheeler too? And we, you know, we gotta be
Sheeler Town Road?
Yes. But we got to be cognizant of a lot of things when we do this. I mean, we build a road that size, and we expect it to do a job. It's behind shopping centers and all, and it also allows for high-density zoning, which is why you'll see townhouses and stuff pop up. So it's meant to be a little more travel, though I would like to see us establish pedestrian patterns as they asked. They requested that. But my recommendation out of all this is if we put in speed bumps, that we put one at either end of Hack. After discussing it with the people who are building the business campus, just to,
Yeah.
because this is one last thing I'll say, when we put the speed hump across High Street for the rail trail as a matter of safety, we heard from the business owners there about why didn't we ask them, and isn't that going to be a real hazard? Well, it turned out to be one of the best things we ever did, because you can walk that rail trail, and that's the other, you know, that gives you a little confidence that people are going to slow down, and so it's worked out.
Sure. I think it's great, but people do like to be asked.
So I asked Bill to bring this up because I feel like the neighborhood has done everything we've asked them to do. They got a petition where it was almost unanimous. They came and talked to us, and I feel like we just need to like tell them what we hope to do. So I think for tonight we can. I'm in favor of the 2-speed bump model, but I do feel like we should approach Dixon because I got a feeling they're not going to like it. They just don't like speed bumps. I don't know that they've ever been really excited about that because that's where their trucks are going to go.
They didn't like the circle, but
But I think the neighbors have a very legitimate concern about the volume that's going to be going in and out of there as well. And, you know, there are a lot of families back there and with little kids. And so I think we should approach Dixon with this, but I think what I would suggest is that we make a favorable recommendation pending further discussions with the businesses in the business park.
There's speed bumps behind Washington Square, you know, and a lot
Right.
of people use that
Yeah.
road. I hate speed bumps. I think that's, and in DC, they call them speed tables, which is basically
Yeah.
what's out here on High Street. You don't feel like your car is just
Yeah.
flopping over this big bump. It kind of takes that
I think
bump
that's-
out of it.
That's what I'd like to build, is a sort of a cross. We call it a thump.
A hybrid.
Just
A
a
hybrid
Bigger
bump.
than a bump.
a lower speed bump that's like a small table. And I actually think our street crew have developed skills with hot mix that might be able to do it. The other problem with speed bumps is that they're the last thing that an asphalt contractor wants to come put in for you. They'll do a whole street, they want to do this and that, but if you say, could I have a speed bump here? It'll be months before they get a chance to do it. They have to be somewhere nearby. So that's not your problem, but that's just the way it is.
So for tonight, are we as a council comfortable saying we're in favor of honoring this neighborhood's request, but before we actually implement it, we want to approach the nearby businesses
Yeah.
and make sure that we're not putting in speed bumps that we're then gonna take out a month later, because, you know, they flood town hall with 200 people or whatever.
You're thinking about the Queen Street example where we put the bridge in, I put in speed bumps, and
Yes, I am.
they were gone in no time, weren't they? Not everybody loves them. I think that's a good thing, Mayor. I think that's a good way to leave it, that you're in favor of
Do
it.
you need a motion now, or?
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing for the people who sign petitions.
I make a motion that we authorize the speed tables or speed humps pending discussion with local businesses there.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
That's the end of my report, and all
Do
my
we need- There
acronyms.
was something that went by. Do we need to, you had asked us to authorize the mayor to sign off on some documents in regards to
Oh,
that first.
thank-
Do we
thank-
need to do anything about that? Do we need to-
Yeah, I would like a motion that if we get this build grant together and for some reason it's not done the night where that you authorize the mayor to sign for the town on all grant documents.
I'm sorry.
I can't make a motion. Was that the
We'll make it.
motion you made?
Yeah.
I'll
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Remember that was hanging out.
Any opposed?
Thanks.
Okay. I'll be real brief with my report. We talked with the folks from the Recreation Commission, and there were two folks that have actually been expressing their interest to join the commission now for about a month. So we sent you guys some paperwork, and tonight I'd like to appoint, is it Dina?
Dinah.
Dinah Hicks to the Recreation Commission.
Did they do background checks on both of them?
I do them when they come back in after the appointment, because if you didn't want to appoint them, it costs between $35 and $50 to do the background check.
So I think we need a motion to approve Dinah Hicks. Is there a motion? Would someone like to
Make
make?
a motion to approve Dinah Hicks and Harold Somerville pending the background check.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We unanimously approve appointing Dinah Hicks and Harold Somerville to the Rec Commission. 4th of July fireworks, we are having fireworks this Wednesday, usually right around 15 minutes after sunset, which right now is like 9 o'clock. A couple details about this year's display. They're smaller shells than we've used in the past, 2.5 inches, correct?
They go up to 2.5 inches.
And they're being launched from Wilmer Park, correct?
Correct.
So the reason I'm saying this is the best place to view them would be anywhere that you can see Wilmer Park from like the water's edge. So if you're way up by the sewage lagoons, where I know people have traditionally gone, you may not have much of a view of these shells because they will be going off at a lower altitude. But if you're anywhere near the river, you'll have an awesome view. So just to give you guys perspective, these are about the same size shells that we use for downrigging weekends. So anywhere you go to see fireworks during downrigging, that's a good view, would be a good view on Wednesday. So I hope to see a good turnout there. Looks like it's gonna be warm, but hopefully rain-free. So
Yes.
things are looking good there. And that's my report. So why don't we start, I don't know if we ever started with you
Never
before.
started.
Why don't we start with you? Just turn a new leaf right now.
All right. It's been quiet in the third ward these past 2 weeks, but I have had a conversation with Case about the Washington Park project and getting that done. Once it goes through the Board of Public Works, he anticipates work being started in August. So we're real excited about that. Had a conversation with Bill about some refuse pickup along Calvert Street. And I just want to, make the statement to those in the third ward and everyone in particular, I mean, in general, that it is the residents' responsibility to clean up and call town hall to come pick these things up that are in front of their properties. The town will make the effort to move it, but it's the residents' responsibility to do that, which means also a small fee might be levied, depending on how much stuff needs to be moved. Now, Bill and I were able to work it out so we could get it taken care of in this particular incident. But I just want to reiterate that it's the residents' responsibility to take care of these things and not necessarily the town. And it's good nature. So that's what's going on in the third ward. Oh, you know what? I have a question. If anybody knows anything about the sale of the old Magnolia Hall, who owns it?
The new owners took over June 1st.
Yes, who's the company that's responsible for
I
that?
don't know the name of the company.
Who's doing that? I drove by it a couple of days. You don't see any signs out in front of it. And I have some residents that have family members that are in there that are concerned about what's going on with that. So I'd like to either ask them to come and talk to us and just explain to us, what's going on, or how they plan to continue to manage that place, or give us some information about their operations. Because from what I've learned a little bit, that they're not as experienced as the University of Maryland was in nursing home care.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some people that are concerned about that.
All right.
Okay.
We'll look into that. Linda?
Okay, I'm hoping that this is an unusual request, but I'm hoping that it'll get in the paper or get on the spine. The Historical Society, the Kent County Historical Society, is in the Bordley Building on the corner of High Street and Cross Street. The Historical Society is about our heritage, our families, lineage, what's the word?
Lineage.
Yeah, thank you. But it's family history, events that have gone on in Chestertown, like the explosion, from the fireworks factory, ice cream, how many ice cream shops there were in Chestertown. It's just about Chestertown's history and the surrounding areas. It is not the Historic District Commission, which makes the regulations, you go before the Historic District Commission, find out, if you can put a new roof on, if you can put a fence up, if you can do this, that, and the other. It's property changes. Poor Amanda must be inundated with calls because she posted that we do not decide the color of your roof, we don't decide the color of your shutters, we don't, have no regulations on how many chickens you can have if you live in Chestertown. And so she had wanted to write a letter to the editor, but I told her, I said, I'll bring it up tonight. So it's the Historic District Commission that meets here. The commission members are appointed by the mayor, and they're the ones that make the rules and regulations, not the Kent County Historical Society, which is going to have a reviewing of the luminaire this first Friday, and all the lectures are from 4 to 5 on Friday. And other than that, I would like everyone to keep Owen McCoy in their and his family in their prayers.
David?
Okay. I want to especially thank Kent County News and Chestertown Spy for the, I thought, excellent coverage of our discussion on the tax differential last time. More coverage, I think, than we've had in quite some time. And that's quite relevant, because as I go through the list of counties that receive a differential or a rebate and those that don't, I cannot discover a single pattern in there. It's got large counties, small counties, rural counties, urban counties. One of the curiosities is that statewide, only about 15% of the people live in municipalities in Maryland. Do you know what percentage live in municipalities in Kent County? 39%. We're well above that average. That isn't the controlling thing. The one factor that I think does affect it is whether the public is aware and whether the public is insistent that they be treated fairly. Toward that end, your coverage was great. The Kent County Community Breakfast Group is going to have a session focused specifically on that on June 19th. And we're going to be inviting people, pro and con, any ideas that they have, to come there. And what I hope is that we can, prior to the elections, we can educate as many people as possible so that they can ask good questions. Whether they want tax differential, whether they think it's important or not, but that they insist that the candidates for county commissioner really state their position on it and explain why. The only other thing, I made a presentation at Heron Point. I felt it was important to go back after we had voted on the tax. Not a single person thanked me for raising the taxes, but once I went through some of the rationale for it, they seemed to understand, and I think that's what was important.
Good for you.
Yes.
Way to go.
Yeah, that was brave. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to showcase this. This is, it's not the most spectacular trophy I've ever received for an athletic achievement of mine, but what it represents is so much more.
It really does.
For those of you who aren't aware, the mayor and council actually the town hall, I should say, has its own bocce league team. There's hundreds of people in this league. There's dozens of teams. There's a whole league that plays on Tuesday nights. Wilmore Park is packed. There's a different league on Thursday night. Wilmore Park is equally as packed. We, this year, had our most successful season to date. We became the champions of the Thursday night league. Unfortunately, we ended up playing the champions of the Tuesday night league in the grand winner-take-all finale. And even though we were up 5-1 at one point, then we were up 10-5 at another point, we basically choked him. We lost 17-13. Whether it was a matter of too many Pilsners or just nerves, or we just didn't have it. We lost to a team called the Bocce Laureates. And, but we came in second place out of, I don't know, 20 teams and hundreds of people. And it's a really, really fun, if you haven't never seen it, it's just eccentric and weird enough that it's perfect for Chestertown. So it was a lot of fun. The emotions are still kind of raw from the defeat, so I'm going to cut this short. But this will be, I might just leave that there for a while until we get back to the finals this fall.
Good idea.
So there were no requests from the public to be on the agenda this evening, so are there any questions or comments from the audience this evening?
You gotta pass it around so everybody can.
Yeah, do you want it?
Like a Stanley
You
Cup.
might need to take a look at it. Yeah, I'm going to be carrying this around First Friday at all the local bars. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, sir.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Less than an hour.